Spook,
Yes.
we're back in front of the camera.
Is that what it is?
Uh-huh. How about a joke?
The only one I can think of is Carlton.
Welcome to the Collingwood Rant. We're back in front of the camera. I'm Sly.
And there's nothing better than beating Carlton by how many points?
5.
5 points. 5 points. It's like 1981. 79, was it?
Yeah,
One
I
of the
was
two.
going to go there.
One of the two.
Spook.
Yes.
Tragedy at the MCG as that noblest of football clubs, Carlton, are deprived of a free kick in the dying seconds, which robs them of a chance of stealing victory. I feel it right here for them.
It was hard to see. I mean, it should have been a free kick.
I mean, according to Brian Taylor, they only replayed it about more times than the Zapruder footage.
Fox Footy made a point of showing about 74 incidences that should have been free kicks in the last 2 minutes.
To
Except
Carlton.
any that actually would have been free
Except
kicks
like
for
when
us.
Moore was blocked and Silvani marked and
Or when the back of
Henry's head was
Henry's
caved
head
in.
was caved in. I don't know what I was going to say. Hill. Henry Hill. Henry Hill's head was caved in.
Ray Liotta died. He played Henry Hill in Goodfellas.
Well, there
I
you
know how
go.
you love that movie.
There's a segue to everything.
Yeah. What can you say about this victory? We both thought they'd get smashed, particularly you. I was like, I was relatively confident.
Oh, no, I was never in doubt.
It's a pretty good effort when you think they had a really good game against Fremantle and you think, okay, you forgive them. You won't like it, but you'll forgive them if they have a bit of a letdown.
Yeah, I think that was my underlying concern, and we might have mentioned it last week, that coming off that wet track with such a hard-fought sort of win over there, I thought would take its toll on the return journey, and I think I made mention. I think if we got off to a good start, that'd be the essential part, because I think we'll eventually tire over the journey of the game. Wrong.
Yeah.
I thought that was it's a very character building win, that one. I don't think you can undersell the importance of that win in a big stadium, big crowd. I think it sounded like we were well and truly outnumbered on the supporter front, because apparently for the first time in 20 years, Carlton supporters turned up to a game.
Yeah.
It was an amazing game.
I actually, that first half, we should have been 6 goals up.
Yes.
Ginnivan missed 2 easy ones. Henry missed one. I mean, we're 4-8. We kicked 1-4 in the second quarter to their 4 straight. And then in the third quarter, we kicked 3-4 to their 5 points, so they were a little bit inaccurate. And then we kicked 4 straight to their 5-2. Bit of a worry in that last quarter when they started getting a bit of a run on. We just couldn't stop it. They were just clearing it out of the midfield, which has happened repeatedly to us, and they almost stole. Like, it looked like we were controlling the game, and then it just flipped. They had a few pretty good umpiring decisions.
Didn't they?
Yep.
Although, to be fair, I think the standard of the umpiring in the game was poor.
Poor. I thought it was poor, but I thought it was poorer for us.
Yeah.
I really thought there was some shit. There was like one where Moore tackled Curnow, and Curnow just sort of threw it, and they wasn't called. Last quarter, what was Cripps doing when there was a free to Mason Cox, and Cripps was just going, who do I give it to? And he held the ball for about 45 seconds. It was like, isn't that, delaying the game? So there was a lot of shit like that was happening at pivotal times.
And I heard him saying, "Ooh, do you want the ball?" Ooh.
Mason Cox in the ruck.
How good.
He's actually got a physique now. Like, I noticed some muscle
well,
definition.
we're
It's like
talking
looking at my
about
own arms.
Yeah, or Natalie Portman's in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Love and blunder.
I actually did think that when I saw him. He looks a lot larger, and I think he actually is giving him the ability to use his body a little bit better. He was a bit lithe, even though he probably weighs well over 100 kegs.
Yeah.
But I think the extra weight suits him. It looks better too, and clearly it didn't impact his marking.
Well, I think the one thing too with Cox is when he's up forward at full forward and he's trying to get a lead and they're blocking and bumping him and all that sort of shit. As a ruckman, he can run up to the wing. He doesn't get that sort of impingement because, you don't have defensive zones and all that. So he's just running free. So he gets a better leap at the ball. He is one of these guys, if he marks the first one, he tends to clunk him. If he doesn't, then he starts dropping them. But I think even in those years where he was playing as full forward, he'd drop ones at full forward, but then when he went into the ruck, he'd mark him in the wing. So I think just when he got a free run at it, he was a lot better. His tap work was good. He laid a really good tackle, kicked a pivotal goal.
Took a specky.
Yep. So I've said it for, 19 years. He's a ruckman. hopefully they keep playing him as a ruckman primarily. I mean, the one problem is with him, Darcy Cameron and Grundy, whoever the relief ruck isn't actually good enough to be a key forward.
Yeah.
Darcy Cameron probably shows the most in terms of consistency. I mean, Cox had games where he'd rip it apart, but then he'd do nothing for weeks. So that's going to be a problem. They really... I mean, you look at what Curnow did. That's a key position forward.
Certainly is. Is he on the market anytime soon?
Well, if we fucking inquire about Curnow, he'll just do a knee.
Just one.
Yeah, I mean, we're into Hill, and unfortunately he's now battling testicular cancer. We're into a few other forwards, and they've been injured, and other players. It's good that, we're not waiting until they get to Collingwood. We're just injuring it at the source now. Just saving time.
It saves time, I think.
Yep. Ollie Henry.
Yes.
A few weeks ago, when he was missing shots, it was like, what the fuck's gotten into his head?
It was a few weeks ago. That was then. This is now.
But he's just grown and laid a good tackle. But he also shows composure and he's capable of sort of, taking the ball at the highest.
Yeah. I don't know if you've got the stats there. Have you got the stats there? No. You don't have the stats there. Let's just make something up.
Have 3 goals.
But he would have had quite a few goal assists, I imagine, too. He was involved in everything. And what I really like is his I suppose his contesting marking or attempt to contested mark is
except when he's getting his head caved.
Yeah, well, yeah, he presents really well and he's happy to drop back or run across a pack and go for it. He doesn't shirk any contest, I think, is probably the phrase I was looking for. And when he kicks and he kicks true, he'd have to be the straightest kick that we have in the side, which makes all those misses a little bit baffling. But at the moment, he's snagging more than he's missing.
Well, McCreary is a pretty good kick, just didn't get enough of it.
Especially when he's medical sub.
Yeah. But I agree, and you think when he gets a bit of muscle on that, it could be a scary proposition. But the point I was making is when he had that game where he was missing and he just looked really unsure of himself, like there was a bit of worry, like, oh, geez, what's going into his head? And it's just gone. It's just totally fucking turned it around. And
do you think the club may have opened up contract negotiations with him?
Or maybe they just got into him about mindset.
When he sees everybody else dropping like flies, wouldn't it make you a little bit concerned about your well-being?
Oh, I'd be concerned for McRae if they're dropping like flies, given... Jamie Elliott.
He bothers Carlton a little bit, doesn't he?
He loves Carlton. And the Dacos love Carlton too. I mean, Peter Dacos used to love Carlton. He didn't do so well against Essendon, but he regularly obliterated Carlton. So that's in the genes. And Elliott.
Yeah, he was quite good. I mean, what did he end up with? It was only
just the one.
Yeah, but just all over the place. He troubles them, and that's good considering that we did have a few passengers on the day. That
I think there's only one real passenger.
Hoskin Elliott.
I didn't say his name, so I don't know how you deduce that, Sherlock.
Well, I'm assuming it was him because I didn't see him out there.
Yeah, it was Hoskin Elliott. He surely must be at a point now where they're going, look, if you're going to return 8-10 possessions, then we'll just play Poulter or McInnes.
I wish I'd thought of that.
Yeah, I mean, you've been saying it, but...
Because you're going to get exactly the same output, and you're going to get development time out of someone that you marked for the future.
I mean, it's a shame because Hoskin Elliott, when he actually interacts or impacts the game, he has all the skills. He's quick. You would have thought this game style would have suited him, just running forward quick. He's a nice kick. He's a really good mark, but he just doesn't get enough of it.
No, it's frustrating. And for all the reasons you mentioned, he should be a lot more prominent. But, at what point... I mean, he's surely in there just for the age profile.
Well, that's... Yeah. I mean, I remember Buckley speaking. I mentioned this years ago, just saying you have to have a balance of experienced bodies and inexperienced bodies, because if you go one too far with the inexperienced, then it just collapses. So that's what I imagine they're doing, but when your output is that low, it's just like, well, maybe we could just play McInnes and he'll get play McCreary or whoever.
Yeah.
And I'll get 8-10 possessions and we're not really losing anything.
Mio was quiet though too. That's the other one that sort of vanished, but that's okay because we won.
But you know that he will come back. You know he'll...
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not concerned about it. It was just a quiet game for him.
And Lipinski got moved to the half forward in the second half. I thought the first half was a little bit... he failed to impact, but that second half he kicked a couple of vital goals. Side bottom got free. He probably should have kicked 4 side bottom because he just kept taking marks inside 50. But
he had 17 shots from that one same spot.
Yep.
They didn't seem too concerned with him running around.
Well, that's the thing, is like, why are the opposition not that alarmed? I mean, why did Richmond all those years ago give him slash free reign?
He's an elite player. Brayshaw keeps telling me he's elite.
He wasn't commentating. Anyway, but yeah. Sidebottom, he shows that he can get free up forward, but he really needs to kick. I mean, he kicked 2, but he could have kicked 4, like I said. How about that thug, Jordan McGoey?
What an evil individual. No, he was probably close to best on ground for us, I think.
Well, the Coaches Association votes, they gave him 9. No one else got close.
Noble, didn't he get close?
He got 5 or something.
Yeah. No, Geordie was exceptionally good. I mean, I think what really encapsulated his performance was that running goal from outside 50. He just put the welly into that, and that thing sailed through it. It was just a beautiful goal.
He's got a lot of poise too. There's just times he's in traffic, and he just sort of like he has time to assess the best option. He'll go for a long handball.
Handball.
That's right.
Handball Lecter.
Yeah, he'll go for a long handball or something like that. And he did a shoulder though, the guy, but fortunately it wasn't one of our players. It was Wiedering's.
Jeez. Did you see, when you see that in slow motion, I don't think he even was aware he got hit, Geordie. He's obviously made of steel. Because Wiedering, when you watch it in slow motion, he just moulded around to go his body and then snapped back. Sans a clavicle or whatever he ended up breaking.
Yeah. But the goalie's been really good. I mean, those 2 weeks where he had the gastro and that he was quiet. And then...
I've had gastro and been quiet. Well...
From one end. The media was getting onto him going, he's not that good a player.
The media getting onto Goey?
Yeah.
Surely
it's a
not.
Shock, isn't it? Nathan Murphy.
How good was... I'm pleasantly surprised.
I was really surprised. That was brilliant.
Because this is the second week in a row. Well, he's only played the second game in a row for...
That's usually when you...
Christ knows how long. But he's been composed, and I thought he was brilliant the other night.
I thought he fumbled a bit when he hit the ground, but in the air he was great. His marking was really, really good.
His intercepting was fantastic.
Didn't realise he had that good a mark. He's taken it at highest reach. And you see that, you think, geez, well, maybe we have something there. The issue of Murphy's got to stay upright.
Oh, that's it. And I think, did we talk about it last week? But Bucks, I think, said after one of the shows that he's, they did try and tell him to pull back, that he just goes in too hard and gets injured, which breaks his momentum. And look, I love that, the hardness, but at the same time, you're no use to anyone if you break yourself every 3 weeks. So I hope it keeps going for him.
He's getting a good run at it then.
Maybe he's got contract negotiations coming up. But no, I was exceptionally encouraged by that. Look, you don't want any of them to be shit players, but I wasn't convinced that he was going to make it. I thought this might have been the last year. But if he keeps this up, he deserves to be out there well and truly.
Oh, I thought he was great. I previously knew he was courageous. He could bob up. It didn't look like he was getting enough of the ball. That game was the one where and the other guy I'm going to go to in a minute, that was one game where you look at, no, you belong. You just got to hit that level regularly. Obviously, you're going to have quiet games here and there, but that's the level you got to reach for. Other guys, Tyler Brown, he had a mixed game, but like in that last quarter when it was there to be won, he did a few really nice things.
Yeah, I thought he was really, really fumbly in the first, and he just looks slow with decision making at times when he's in traffic, and he got caught a number of times. But then he had that magical couple of minutes with the tackle, and then that snap out in the pack was awesome. Look, I think you just persist. You've just got to keep playing him in the seniors. He's going to get his best return on development inside of there, and you're just going to have to wear the good with the bad with that one. But I think there's something there.
Well, the thing with the way the list is structured at the moment, excluding the injuries, so looking at the players we have available, the only ones you really think they can bring in, McCreary was medical sub, McInnes and Poulter, and then just underneath them, McRae. I don't know if McRae's really banging down the door. So there's not a lot of options after Tyler. Risco's another one, yeah. But in terms of midfielders and all that, Risco and Murphy are contending for the same spot, so it's probably just a matter of time before one of them gets in, or Risco gets in. But there's not a lot of depth in the... Oh, there's no depth in the reserves. It's all just sort of next generation prospects. So that's like a little bit of a worry. Tyler Brown, I agree. He's got something. But hopefully that last quarter just showed him, hey, I can play this game. I hope that gave him confidence to go, I'm better than I actually realised.
Agreed.
But you talked about slowness and decision making and that. Scott Pendlebury.
what the fuck was he thinking with that that final moment?
I was going to go to that in a minute, but like there was that one time he got caught in the middle where he just sort of, he was just like in the middle, just like they say, time stands still around him. Well, he stood still while time was moving around him.
He's massively slowing down. I don't think it's concerning or anything at the moment because I think he still contributes enough. But, you're clearly watching a bloke where the end is closer than it's ever been. And I think, there was a point, I think he got caught early on in the first quarter and he was filthy. He's not a bloke that normally shows emotion, but he was angry at himself. And I think it must be frustrating when you used to be able to do all these things and you had that extra second that when that goes, you're having to readjust the way that you're playing the game. And plus, I mean, especially at his ginger old age, he doesn't have that support around him that would make his life a little bit easier. He's still expected to carry a little bit too much. So again, that must be frustrating, but it is what it is.
I think with Pendlebury, he could probably still, barring injury, he could still get another couple of seasons, but he needs to start taking first options instead of like going, oh, hang on, I'll look around. It's like, I think sometimes you just need to go, okay, I'm going to go for the long ball or whatever really quickly because that's what I noticed. Like he's looking around, but he's taking longer to assess it, or maybe just the game plan's moving so quickly he's not getting enough time to work out what's going on around him. Because usually he'd just watch and wait and pick a good option, but now it just seems either he's being rushed or the game is moving so quickly around him that he doesn't have that time to assess.
It's probably all the above.
But that last, what the hell was that? So he decided to go for a long loopy handball to Jeremy Howe, and then what the fuck was Howe doing? Snapping a goal. He kicked it 50 metres in the air and about 20 metres forward.
It made absolutely no sense because the minute that loopy handball is up, you're fucked. You've got blokes coming for you. And maybe that was a tactic to draw a cup because he would have had two defenders run to him at that point because you can't claim a mark. You obviously have to play on and you're going to have to do it rapidly. It just seemed like I'd be curious to hear him talk about what was going through his head at that time, whether that was a tactic or whether he just pulled something out of his clacker. Because you'd seriously like to think that Howe was aware of what was going to go, what was about to go down. So I don't know. I mean, it really didn't gain because you can now run out probably the distance that he handballed, and he could have punted it up the ground as well as Howe's probably a bit more penetration with his kicking now. I don't know. It must be something, but I just want to back up. Maybe you've got it down too. There was a moment before that I thought, and I don't know whether he could have done it or what he was doing, but Moore should have rushed that behind probably about 20 seconds before, I thought. But he looked like he was diving for the mark, and he must have thought he was going to be able to mark. Now, mark would have been good, but at that point, for it to spill over then, I probably filled my Dax on the couch that I thought, no, we've fucked this. This is not where you wanted the ball to be.
Yep.
But there's every chance on the flip side you can still cock up your kick in, and that's a pressure moment there.
Oh, look, the two things I'll say is, to me, Pendlebury misread what was going to go on. I think he thought I could just jog out because they're all dropping back, and then they pressed him, and I was like, oh shit, this is a lot closer to me than I thought. And he handballed that shit handball of Howe. And Howe was like, oh shit, I'm in trouble, and he just snapped it. I think they misread what was going to happen there. I think the other thing too, it shouldn't have been Pendlebury taking the kick out. It should have been Maynard. It should have been someone who had the long raking kick.
He could have probably torpedoed it into the centre.
Well, Maynard, I wouldn't have went down the centre, but Maynard, like I said, you could have played on run 15, kicked it down to the wing, and that would have killed the game. I mean, the other thing too, which disappoints me, and you can call me if you want some tactical tips, Fly, is Pendlebury was going, I'm going that way, and everyone was running that way to that left wing, or left on Pendlebury's left. It's like, I don't know why coaches don't go, you know what? 17 or 16 of you go that way, and one of you go that way where there's no one, and let's just flip it.
You must almost have a playbook, though, for these types. You surely train for these scenarios.
But they never really sort of break from what the mould is in football. It's like, it's like that thing I always say, if you kick it out from full-back, you hit someone in the back pocket, and then they can pass it with precision all the way up to half-forward, and the guy at half-forward just goes, now I'm just going to bomb it like an idiot. There's never sort of any renovation of the way we play football where someone's going, no, let's keep looking for passes. I mean, obviously you get full forward lead, but there's that mindlessness about when you get anywhere near got, let's just boot it. And that happens. It's like, so with stuff like that, when they're kicking out, I don't know why one coach hasn't said, it's someone innocuous. I mean, like Hoskinelli, he's invisible. Just go down to the other half-forward flank. Just sprint. And, if you don't draw a man, you're the option. and players look for it. It's like years ago when Robert Walls was coach. I remember he introduced the huddle, where they all huddled on the centre half back to full back line. And then they just spread. There was all leads. It's like, that was really innovative. You don't know why more coaches don't go, well, how else can we beat this situation?
No, and I think you're going to realise that going for the stoppage on the boundary line is almost the fait accompli.
Yep.
And you can see they just push everyone over into that particular area. So I was thinking the same thing with the, if you got everyone under instruction to line up in the middle and then just burst, the opposition wouldn't know what to do. Now, you probably get away with it once, but how often does this scenario comes up where the game's in balance with seconds to go and you're kicking out? It'd be worth almost having one or two little plays up your sleeve of things you can do.
Something like that, I think it'd be really good if you line them up and you have say Cox and Cameron. So their ruckman's going to follow one and just both go in different directions. So they can't follow you with both. So Cox, you go that way, Cameron, you go that way. Kick to the guy who's getting the small players, the shorter players following with him. I don't know why there's not more innovation in the way people or coaches apply strategies. So I think that would have been really good. As I said, I don't know why Maynard wasn't kicking out. Pendlebury's never been a long penetrating kick. I remember you going back 20 years, Jimmy Clement used to, against Essendon, I remember one game, he was just basically kicking out the wing. He was just doing these beautiful long drop punts. You'd think that
Dustbin Felcher used to do the same sorts of things as well.
Yeah, you think you should have sort of, at that stage, a designated kicker out, and it shouldn't be Pendlebury. Pendlebury should be in the congestion going, I'm going to direct this traffic and work out how to win the ball. Not, I'm going to be at the end. So anyway, I don't think they ever should have got that close. Or 17 points up. I think that was when Henry got his head caved in, and that would have iced the game.
That would have, I don't think he would have missed there because he was only about 20, 25 metres out. And that would have put the end to the game. They would have dropped their heads at that point. But
and there was a little bit there, I think, where they got to 11, and then we're just sort of kicking. Noble kicked to Dacos in the wing when I was just sort of Howe went to Noble. Noble went to Dacos, and then Dacos just went, I'm just going to boot it to inside 50, which is again a low percentage thing. And then they rebounded, and that's when Silvani got that goal where they blocked more from the mark, which wasn't paid. So I think some of their...
Yes, I mean, how much more obvious you need? He's cannoned into him like this. He's got no eyes for the football, and that's play on. But there was a number, and as I said before about the umpiring across the day, there was a number of things that were missed that you'd scratch your head over going, serious?
Well, there was the one where Henry got tackled, and I can't remember the Carlton player, but the Carlton player had Henry's head between his legs and rolled him into the ground.
Yeah.
And that was holding the ball.
I mean, it's not like Henry ducked down. Yep. It's not like my next thought was, I should wedge my head between his kneecaps.
Yeah.
That would be a good trick. Now, clearly he's clamped his head around there. That's a high tackle.
It is.
Does the rule clearly stipulate that you have to have upper body contact for it to be head-high?
It depends, when you dive in and shit like that, but now they've got the thing you take out the legs. I mean, there's one for Lipinski, I think, in the third quarter on the half-forward flank where he roved the ball, he got tackled immediately, and another Carlton player just came in and hit him in the face, and the ball spilled out of Lipinski's hands. It was holding the ball. There's a lot of, like I said, really bad decisions at pivotal times. That just, fortunately we got that last one, or the last non-decision, which was awesome. But games like that shit me because the umpiring's having too much impact on the way it goes, and it shouldn't. But, they didn't give that last one to Sam Walsh, so who gives a fucking... They should have. It was a clear free, total free, and you didn't get it. What a shame.
Carlton were robbed. They should have won that game.
Well, they're meant to be... I've been predicting they'll come up for 28 years, and I think the nucleus of their side is really, really good. But, geez, there's a lot of sort of peripheral players there, I think...
Look, I made mention of this, but I thought they were better, or were going to be better than they were. I was a little bit disappointed with their performance, and I'm sure they are as well. I was expecting that we'd probably struggle to challenge them because their momentum's been pretty high.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I think statistically, even though they've been starting games well, they have vanished in the last quarter. So obviously we were there to turn that around because they kicked 5 in the last quarter and almost snatched it. But
I think the third quarter is the one that's been an issue. But I saw some analysts, might have been Matthew Law or someone, just saying the game style they play is unsustainable over 4 quarters. So they have these things where they just fall away.
Yeah.
I recall with Rossline when he was coaching Freo, and people going, oh, his sides don't kick enough points and shit like that. But someone did an analysis where they said in the first half of the year they get over 100 points like 5 times or whatever it was. But in the second half that drops away, which shows as the season goes on and the wear and tear hits, that they can't implement the game plan to the same level. So I don't know if Carlton is just that because Voss is a bull as a midfielder. You know, he's one of the best midfielders I've seen. He's getting the players to just play this crash and bash, and wherever over the game, it's just like, no, I can't do it. My body's wearing it. I mean, the one thing I noticed with them is they got a real sort of sniper attitude now. Like, they tackle someone in the ground, and, you know, it'll be like, fuck you, I got you, you know. When Ginnivan missed, like, the Carlton players ran up to him and stuck it to him. So they got a lot of Voss in them now in terms of the way they treat the opposition. So he's brought some sort of mongrel to them. But I really thought they were going to smash us. So this is a really pleasing result.
Yeah, no, it was exceptionally good. I mean, I loved every second of it.
Yeah, except for the heart attacks.
Well, apart from that, yeah.
Any final thoughts about this game?
We beat Carlton.
And we won ahead down to the...
That's what it's all about.
Yep.
Who's sorry now?
I don't know.
Yes, the ledger. I mean, it's funny. We were talking about that ledger. I think obviously they've been shit now for the last 2 decades, so we've pegged back some ground. But it's amazing to think over the journey just how close that thing always relatively stays. It's either
they overhauled us.
A little bit
sort
down.
of in the 70s and 80s. That's when they overhauled us. We were in front for a while, and they overhauled us in the 80s, mid 80s. We were sort of shit, or mid to late 80s. We were sort of shit. So they pulled ahead. I think about 84, 85, 86, and then they got ahead in the 90s when we were just miserable.
I did see someone post on Twitter, and I haven't fact-checked this because...
Twitter doesn't lie.
Why bother? What was this? Over the last 26 games, we're sitting 21-5 or something. We've lost 5. It's if that's true, it's a fair old effort. I hope it continues that way.
Question for you. Do you think Carlton is a soulless club?
In what way?
Just a pack of mongrels. Just miserable, conniving... scheming, filthy club.
Yes.
Should Disney purchase them then?
And turn them into an epic franchise.
Yeah,
what possible interest would you have out of filming that?
It's the same interest I have in what Disney's doing now.
Be like maybe it's their Marvel Phase 10.
Playing Hawthorn.
Are we?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh, we should dial this win in then, surely.
So
are we capable of 3 on the trot?
They got embarrassed by Gold Coast. They got smashed. I know Hawthorn supporters have apologised for how bad they were. Apparently it was pretty hot. It was like 28, so they could be a little bit, you know. Well, they're going from this to...
They're wearing shorts and sleeveless shirts. How much is the heat really going to impact you?
So, but Gold Coast smashed them. Now, that could go one of 2 ways. One, Mitchell's going to really fire them up and say, you know, how dare you put in that performance, and they'll really come out all guns blazing.
Or maybe they're shit.
Well, that's the other thing. You know, it's like, I look at Hawthorn's side. They got like that Jai Newcomb, I think it was a top draftee, but, you know, because they've been up for so long, and then they've traded out a lot of picks to get guys like O'Meara and Mitchell and that. They don't really have a lot of... I mean, I thought we didn't have a lot of elite talent, but they have even less.
Well, we stitched them up the pre-season game. That's good enough for me.
Yep.
That's our form's red hot. I can't see how we don't lose this by 10 goals.
Yeah. So is that your thought? I mean, I'm going to tip Hawthorn by 10 goals because I've done that the last 2 weeks, and obviously that's... McRae's just playing my tips to the...
Yeah, I imagine we'll collapse into a puddle of goo and we'll lose by 20 goals this week.
Would you make any changes? I mean, barring injury?
I'd probably...
drop Hoskin Elliott?
Where are we playing? Are we playing the G or...
No, I don't care.
We're not playing over in Hobart, are we?
No, I don't believe so.
That'd be interesting if we did that.
I'll check my
would I make any changes?
Hoskin Elliott?
Well, yeah. I'd like to get McCreary back into the side, so I'd give Hoskin Elliott a bit of a spell in the twos. Let him be invisible there for a couple of weeks.
Oh, look, I don't understand sort of the perseverance of him. He's played one good game in about 3 years.
I did hear a rumour today on the drive over here to the studio that Moot went in for some mystery scans today. Nothing's been said, I believe, or anything. So mystery scans will probably mean he's out for the next 3 years.
So Risco's coming in.
So Risco will be coming in. That'll be disappointing if that's true, but hopefully it's just nothing.
I hear he's got...
He didn't look like he was hampered. Maybe he hurt his finger. Is that what you're about to say?
Oh, it's close. I was going to say he's got arthritis in his contract signing hand.
You would think so. That'd be a long contract to sign, wouldn't it?
Last question. How did we lose to West Coast?
Seriously, Well, what are they averaging now? About it literally is 10 goal losses.
This is the worst side I've ever seen in the history. I mean, there's been the GWS.
Are they still pulling this COVID excuse, or are they just absolutely rock bottom crap?
They're just rock bottom crap. You know,
They won a flag a couple of years ago. How do you fall off the precipice that quick?
I don't know. It shocks me too. So, you know, when the two new clubs came in and they were playing basically under 19. Yeah, but I've never seen the side so uncompetitive. I mean, when Gold Coast and the Giants came in, they were at least trying to be competitive. These guys look like they don't give a shit. So
they could conceivably finish the year with just that one win, which would fucking...
I think... Did they play us again? Because they might go second.
So they'll finish the year with 2 wins. I mean, what's their criteria for the extra pick? They seem to be knocking them back left, right and centre.
No, they won't get it any.
But if you lost every game bar one, would they entertain it, you reckon?
No.
You'd have to do it maybe 2 years.
You'd have to do a couple of years, but they'd really have to show that there'd be an exodus of talent. So if they went out and, you know, traded all these sort of 29, 30-year-olds...
They've got a lot of ageing players, haven't they?
Very, very ageing side. So... And they spent a lot to get that Kelly down from Geelong.
He's done nothing since he's been there, really. Not that I watch a lot of games, maybe he's...
No, well, he hasn't matched the output he had at Geelong, so they really remind me a little bit of Fitzroy in there last year.
In their death throws?
Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe they'll relocate to Tasmania. That'd keep Western Australians happy, wouldn't it?
Well, possibly. I mean, you've seen what...
They're not very popular over there, are they?
I don't think they're popular anywhere.
Not at the moment.
Have you seen like what West Coast looks like in their death throws? They've got a doll's eyes. Anyway, any last things to say?
No. Did we mention anything about Ruffy retiring?
Ah, yes. Ruffy, thanks for the service.
Sorry that you made it to the end of the show.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Just obviously we're a high quality production, very organised.
Maybe you could edit that and put it at the start as a farewell to Ruffy.
No,
could you put up a montage of teary moments? Well, that doesn't involve grand finals.
No, it'll be just the 2-9-10 prelim. Thanks, Ruffy.
No, much appreciated. Interesting, though. But obviously his shoulder was pretty bad for him just to pull up stumps. But luckily his cafe opened the same day, so you could just jump from one thing to another. Although I think he's staying around the club for a while. So he's the AFL.
That's because his shoulder's gone. You can't open the door.
He can't get out.
That's just pushing it.
Maisie didn't get a 7-year extension though once his shoulder went.
Oh, they probably tried. He couldn't sign the contract.
He said, no, I'm holding out for 9.
Just how far can I push this joke? Anyway, that's it from us. We'll be back next week.
Later.